Thank you. Mr. Ravis, a second ago you mentioned the phrase time card fraud. I don't know if I've heard that phrase before. You want to elaborate on that?
Sure. In this instance, I'm referring to time and attendance fraud. Essentially, members' time. In order to earn a Siegel Education Award, a member has to serve a certain threshold amount of time. Once they earn that time and it's certified, the member would then earn the education award to be dispersed later to the institution of their choosing. In terms of fraud, we are seeing in some programs where the programs are not monitoring the actual amount served, and the time on those time cards is not correct, and therefore individuals are earning education awards when they shouldn't.
Okay, so the people committing fraud are they called them volunteers a second ago. I'll digress for a second. When you use the phrase volunteers, these people are all getting paid, aren't they? Are usually paid?
So in this instance, I was using the term member. That's on the AmeriCorps side. They receive living allowances and can earn an education award. I'm not aware that they are paid a salary.
Okay, well, coming back to time card fraud, you're saying the volunteers or whatever are claiming they're putting in more hours than they are in some cases?
Yeah, I think this is less about the members and more about the grantee organizations and the...
Oh, the whole organizations are committing fraud.
What they're doing is they are not paying attention to the time or trying to inflate the time in order for them to earn their education award.
Okay. Next question. Most people who work for AmeriCorps, are they paid or are they what we call volunteers? Or how tax-wise does that work?
I can't speak to the numbers. I think Mr. Smith would have a better idea of that, but there are certainly a large number of members and volunteers.
Okay, Mr. Smith, you want to?
Thank you, Congressman. I mentioned there are 200,000 AmeriCorps members and AmeriCorps senior volunteers. Around 60,000 are AmeriCorps members that work up to 1,700 hours a week, and they receive a living allowance to pay for housing and food. But the vast majority of our folks are AmeriCorps senior volunteers, more than 100,000 that are part of our retired senior volunteers program that do everything from Meals on Wheels to tax prep, and they are volunteers.
Okay. I'll give you a general question here. I was always under the impression that one of the goals of AmeriCorps is to provide some work experience for people. Right now, America has a labor shortage. And I would think if I'm an employer, to a certain extent because of the negative publicity of AmeriCorps, but also because you're really not in an organization that has to accomplish something or make a customer happy, that I would, under normal circumstances, much more likely to hire somebody who, say, worked for McDonald's, which is kind of a high-pressure job. Those guys really work hard. I know our president-to-be recently discovered that. But I would have, given that, do you feel if somebody in the private sector was looking at two people, someone, like I said, in McDonald's, somebody in AmeriCorps, where the audits kind of show things are kind of loosey-goosey. Don't you feel that the people in the private sector would have a leg up if you were hiring somebody?
Thank you for that question. The private sector loves AmeriCorps. In fact, we have about 600 employers that take part in our Employers of National Service program because they want people that are passionate, dedicated, who learn how to sometimes spend gold with straw and do extraordinary work under pressure, being given projects to get things done in communities. And so that's why more than 600 employers have prioritized AmeriCorps members in their application process. Employers like Deloitte, for instance, that have worked with our AmeriCorps grantee City Year for many, many years.
AmeriCorps has failed an audit for 8 consecutive years. 2 years ago, you told this committee that a clean audit would take several years. 2 years later, it's hard to see much progress. Can you give us a specific year in which you expect AmeriCorps to receive a clean audit?
Thank you, sir. Our financial and operational reform plan has us at a clean audit opinion in 2026.
Okay, so about 2 years from now. Okay. One more question for Mr. Ravis. I understand the auditors found 11 material weaknesses in AmeriCorps, 8 of which have existed since 2018. Can you rattle off what these weaknesses are?
The major ones, I can rattle off the major ones, which are financial reporting, internal control environment, and the trust obligations and liabilities.
Okay, thank you.